Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Charles Osgood.
Dolly Parton needs no introduction. Her talent more than speaks for itself. The story of her rise from obscurity to fame is a testimonial to America's boundless realm of possibility. Dan Rather caught up with her on tour.
Don't try to cry your way out of this and don't...
When Dolly Parton sang her first hit, Dumb Blonde, in 1967, the words were part warning, part tease. Be careful, there's more to me than meets the eye. Though there's plenty of that, too.
Just because I'm blonde, don't think I'm dumb, 'cause this dumb blonde ain't nobody's home.
I'm pretty sharp. I'm not educated, and I'm not that intelligent, but I'm smart. I'm country smart. You know how they say somebody's street smart? I feel like I'm, you know, if I've got intelligence, it's just a country smart.
Yes, you are something special.
Dolly Parton's country smarts have served her well after more than 40 years in a notoriously risky business. She's not just surviving, she's thriving.
Where are you in your life today?
Well, for me, I'm just doing great. It's like you have to spend a whole lifetime in the business to really know kind of what you're doing. It's like right when they're ready to put you out to pasture, you feel like you've learned enough to really, it's like there's a great song out of Nashville that Buddy Killen had, he had this song called When I've Learned Enough to Really Live, I'll Be Old Enough to Die.
Well, hello there. What are you doing? It's time to go on stage at the Grand Ole Opry. Follow me.
At age 58, despite having already sold more than 100 million records, Dolly Parton is nowhere near ready to be put out to pasture. In fact, these days, she's more likely to buy the pasture. With her own theme parks, Dollywood and Dollywood Splash Country, her own recording company, a chain of Dixie Stampede dinner theaters, and other investments, the Dolly Parton empire is valued not in millions, but hundreds of millions.
I started saying I'm going to ask you a dumb question, but there are no dumb questions, only dumb answers. But let me ask you a dumb question anyway. Does Dollywood make money?
Oh, yes. We're open about 6 months a year, but yeah, I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar a year business. I mean, this is big. We've been open like 18 years, and we have like 2.5 million people come through there a year. We're up there in the Great Smoky Mountains.
So it makes real money?
Real money.
I like
yeah.
the way you say real.
Well, I mean, millions. Millions is real money, ain't it?
Business is business, but the heart of the Dolly Parton empire is her music.
Oh, you're out there tonight with another.
With 2 new CDs, Just Because I'm a Woman and Forgotten Country,
Welcome home, son.
Dolly is busy doing the same thing she's been doing since she was 7 years old, working hard at being a star.
I believe that this was my calling. And when I was a little girl, I always dreamed of being a star.
Back through the years, I go wandering.
Dolly Rebecca Parton is one of the last of a genuine country breed. She was born in 1946, the 4th of 12 children, in a cabin with no electricity or indoor plumbing, in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains in East Tennessee. Her family was dirt poor, but still, her father and mother gave her everything she needed to be a success.
Where did the gift of rhyme come from?
My mama's people. It's like all of my mother's people were very musical. My grandpa, that was the Pentecostal preacher, he was a great musician. He played the fiddle, he could play the piano.
She got the gift of music from her mother, and something just as important, from her father.
My dad never could read and write. My dad never got to go to school, but my daddy was so smart. Daddy could do these horse trades, and horse trade meaning not just horses, we call horse trade, and just making deals, business deals, or, you know, doing different things. And I feel like I get that business sense from my daddy.
The first of her family to graduate high school, Dolly graduated on a Friday, headed to Nashville on Saturday, and never looked back. Her first break came in 1967 when she became a regular on a popular local music program, The Porter Wagner Show. For the next 7 years, the hits and the awards rolled in.
Jolene, Jolene, Jolene.
In 1974, wanting to make it on her own, Dolly split from Wagoner. Though they weren't romantically linked, professionally, it was a painful break. But Dolly did what great artists do, turned her heartache into one of her most memorable songs.
So I just remember sitting down the night, I thought, well, I got to do something because my heart's breaking and his is too, and I can't fight no more about it. So I just started, writing what was coming out. Like, if I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you.
I'll think of you each step of the way. And I will always love you.
So that song just flowed completely out. It just came out. And I wrote that song in I didn't time it because I didn't know at that time it was going to be such a big hit. But I bet that song didn't take me more than an hour to write.
It's hard for people who don't know your history in the music business to understand that the core of what you do, you're a great singer, but you also have written 3,000 songs.
At least. I mean, I got boxes, dresser drawers, chest, trunks, army trunks. I write something almost every day. Things just come to me, funny things, sad things. Depending on my mood, I have to write that. It's like my therapy, it's like my doctor.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of...
Sometimes music therapy isn't enough, and though there were good times, roles in movies like 9 to 5, Steel Magnolias, and Rhinestone, good times are too often followed by bad times. And in the mid-1980s, Dolly Parton had her share.
But I really had a down period for about 18 months, 2 years, until I finally, was so depressed over my weight and a lot of other things, until I just finally thought, either get off your fat ass and get on with your life, or blow your head off and shut up and let everybody else go on with theirs,
There must be a tendency among especially women, but people in general, to say, gosh, Dolly Parton never had a bump in the road in her whole life, ever since she hit the big time.
People don't realize that, we, meaning people in show business, have the same problems as everybody else. Money don't change that. Fame don't change that. Sometimes that brings on more problems. It's just a different kind of problems. As they say, money ain't everything.
Well, what about that saying that if you think money doesn't buy happiness, you just don't know where to shop?
Well, I think there's some truth in that, but not if it's real problems, not if you've got real heartaches.
I found out the hard way.
While some heartache in life is unavoidable, given her profession, Dolly Parton emerged remarkably unscathed.
Double check me. You've never been into drugs?
No.
Never been deep into alcohol?
No.
You've been married, what, 36, 37 years?
Well, actually, it'd be 39 years. 38 years in May.
Dolly met her husband, Carl Dean, a construction worker, outside the wishy-washy laundromat the day she hit Nashville in 1964. They never had children, but they're all the company each other needs.
He's proud of me. He doesn't care what I do. He knows I'm always coming home. He knows I love him. I know he loves me. But he's a loner. He don't want to be with anybody but me, so that works out just fine.
Give me a word, give me a sign, show me where to look.
Besides her husband, the other solid rock in Dolly Parton's life is her personal relationship with God.
Lord, teach me how to speak, teach me how to share, teach me where to go and tell me when love be there.
From the outside looking in, your life is a blur. You go from one songwriting session to another, one recording session to another, one interview to another. When do you have time to deal with the spiritual?
I'm in my church right now. God is always in me. That is like, remember that scripture of pray without ceasing? I think that just means to keep that inner glow, keep that feeling, that God light inside you, and hold on to that. It's like, when people say, oh, how can you talk about being religious? You look like a whore. Maybe I do, but I don't feel like one, and I don't believe that God thinks I'm one.
It's all part of the contradiction that is Dolly Parton, the deeply spiritual country girl and the flashy showgirl, who, besides her songs, is best known for a certain prominent feature of her anatomy.
I'm a little reluctant to do this, but let me get personal for a minute.
Oh, how personal.
Well, listen, God made you pretty.
Yeah, he did, but I helped him some. God's willing to help them that's willing to help themselves.
Well, you want to talk about the help? Have you had
I
work
don't
done?
care. Sure, I've had lots of work done. I'll have some more done when I need it. I always say if I see something sagging, dragging, and bagging, I'm going to nip it, tuck it, and suck it, whatever it needs to be done. You know, I always had nice boobs. I always had a nice body when I was little, but when I lost all that weight, I had them pumped up and fixed up, and, you know, they just stand up there like brave little soldiers now.
Well, I hadn't noticed that your eyes are so beautiful. I never had
Yeah,
noticed
right. That's like you never thought to ask, too, right? What else you want to know?
Say what you will about Dolly Parton. Love her or not, one thing's for sure. She's nobody's fool. And anybody who thinks she's going to go quietly out to pasture anytime soon just doesn't know Dolly.
Anything else you want to pick for me?
No.
Well, pick something. We have to
What?
go out.
Oh, you got to have a go out, too? All right. Well, a soldier boy coming right by. Did y'all hear? There was a soldier boy that coming right by. And all I'm really doing now is picking Dan out. So, did you hear about that soldier boy that coming right by? Pretty fair miss. Out hitting the guard.
The realm